And good morning, and welcome to No Apologies, Please. I'm your host, Greg Meriweather, and it's a beautiful day. Uh, I'll do some housekeeping first and say our guest had to cancel um, technical difficulties, I guess. But nonetheless, we're here at No Apologies, Please, man. It's another great day. And pivoting is what I do. So therefore, we still have a show lined up. We're gonna still talk about some stuff, and it's what we do. We don't just shut down. We just have to keep going. That's a special part about this thing is when you make a decision to do it, you just do it. So good morning. uh, I see my sister on early. Good morning, Sister Morris. Good to see you. And so, man, this has been an interesting week. We've had just a plethora of guests. We started out with James Webb. We had Sabeko. We've had Anthony Hampton. Uh, who else did we have? We've had, we had somebody every day except for today, right? So, nonetheless, what's up, Tracy? Good to see you. And so, man, I really want to touch on this because I've been watching just uh, just the internet kind of heavily, which is what I do. And I've been, oh yes, and we had the ladies of IMPD. Thank you, sister. We had the two ladies of IMPD. So yes, for Women's History Month, I thought I was gonna have another woman on before the end of the month, but we didn't let that happen today, or we that didn't happen today. But nonetheless, so been watching the internet, and the biggest news out today is the whole uh, Puff or P Diddy ordeal going on. And it made me think about just one, our cancel culture. And I wrote a post the other day about it, and I was like, we really got some sick stuff going on. And when we are when we are more amped to condemn ourselves than we are to uplift ourselves, I find that problematic. Because when it's all said and done, it's like, who else do we have? And let me say this: if it comes out that this man is found guilty for anything that he's done, then that's that. But we've created this culture that gets on board with canceling or condemning people without evidence. Black people should be the last people to condemn anybody with no evidence should be black people without trial. Let me say that, without trial. The last people who should get on board with the destruction of another black person without trial should never be a black person. Why do I say this? Well, when you take the last, know your history well enough to know not to repeat it. So when you realize that the lynchings that took place in America, and you realize that most of the lynchings that took place, nobody went to trial. Black men, black women who were pregnant, black men were castrated, black men were hung, lynched, or black men were burned up, drugged, drugged by vehicle, drugged by mule, pulled apart by horses with no trial. And now we are the agents of our own demise because before any trial, we've now become the lynch mob. And I said this on a TikTok post. I said I want to find an artist who can do a piece for me. And the last lynching, supposedly the last lynching that took place in America, supposedly took place in Marion, Indiana. I want an artist to take all those people in that picture. If anybody's, you remember the picture, and make all the faces black. And then allow us to see us pointing to another black person hanging as a means of entertainment. Because that's who we are now. Now we're the lynch mob of our own people. And we're saying, I'm down with this, I'm down with destroying Bill Cosby. I'm down with destroying R. Kelly. I'm down with destroying Kanye West, and I'm down with destroying Diddy. And I want to see a picture of us pointing at someone being lynched as a means of entertainment and realize that now we do it to ourselves. And I'm not giving anybody a pass. I'm not saying that anyone's not guilty. I'm also not saying anyone who is guilty, because when it's all said and done, it's like, I have to let that go where it goes. I have to let that go to trial. I can't be on board with just saying, yeah, he did it or whatever, because it ain't my business. Two, I ain't no judge. Three, I know how the system works. And how in the hell, we scream about the police, we scream about the justice system, we scream about how bad the media is, we scream about all these things, and then we get on board with it when it comes down to destroying ourselves. Help me understand. There's a clip I'm gonna show from Mano, and I want y'all to see the stuff on the side of it too, because I thought it was BS, but nonetheless I'm gonna show it, because I'm like, how in the heck are we these people? So let's look at this quick clip.
Making these accusations, you got some dude named Lil Rod. First of all,
that producer
should be a pause on his name. Like nigga named Little Rod. Like what? That's pause.
Do you think it's like a agenda to destroy popular?
This is what I'm saying. And if you know anything about, the 60s, and I hate to get all like this, but if you know anything about the 60s and what they did with black leadership and all that, these were some of the tactics, right? To destroy you. Basically, they divide and conquer,
like J.
right?
J. Edgar Hoover.
There you go,
Yep.
right? So COINTELPRO, what they would do was they would put out misinformation, have us looking at each other, right? They sending out letters and sending out things saying, this one talking about that one, this one got caught doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps us disorganized, right? And also propaganda, which is fueled through the media, is a tool that's always been used.
Media controls the mind.
This is what I'm saying. So I'm not quick to jump at what everybody else is running towards, like, because if you ask the average person, she's like, what you think he did? He's like, I don't know, he did something. I don't know, like he, what I mean, he was sex trafficking. Oh, all right, what's sex? Like, they got to give me a clear definition of what sex trafficking is. So you saying he was what? He was making people sell their body? Like, I'm saying, is it under 8? Like, it's not clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not jumping in that.
And so that's from the Baller Alert TV, man. And I'm like, what are we doing? When you know your history, it's like you don't do stuff to repeat it. And for anyone who knows anything, we don't think about COINTELPRO. And I'm gonna jump into that really quick. So COINTELPRO was a counterintelligence program conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation from 1956 to 1971 to discredit and neutralize organizations considered subversive to U.S. political stability. One of the first people to ever be put on to be investigated through COINTELPRO was Martin Luther King Jr. And anyone who knows their history realizes that what they did to Martin Luther King Jr., what they took him, they taped him, they violated his Fourth Amendment rights, no illegal search and seizure. So there you go, Ms. Jackson. COINTELPRO was a blueprint by Hoover. He was a sick mastermind determined to take MLK and many others down. Black Panthers, Malcolm X, the Black Muslim movement, the whole nine. So when you look at this thing, and I'm not saying, this is not what I'm saying. I'm not making Diddy innocent. I'm also not making him guilty. But when I look and I see, when I saw Judge Mathis's post, and he said over excessive use of military force was when they went to raid his homes. You didn't see it happen with Jeffrey Epstein. You didn't see it happen with Harvey Weinstein. You see it happen with Diddy. And we get on board with it in the media. Then all of a sudden he sells revolt. He does this. He does all this kind of stuff. And we don't do our own study to find out what's true. And I think we have to be better agents at that, because we canceling. It's like, these are powerful Black men, super powerful. You know, we've got what, 6 or 7 Black billionaires in America out of the 20, almost 3,000 billionaires. Only 7 of them are Black, and Black people are clapping and cheering and yes, get them. And it's like, ooh, a lot of y'all would have told on people trying to escape the plantation. A lot of y'all would have told. A lot of y'all would have been right there with the dogs chasing somebody trying to break free, simply because you just have a lynch mob mentality. That's just my opinion. And then I'm gonna go here. I have to go here, you know, and say this. When did we make the decision to be so homophobic? I have no idea what that man's sexual preference is. It ain't my business. But when I'm looking at us, I'm like, which one is it? Now, if you look, and some parties start talking about a man is a man and a woman is a woman, or this person, this is room for exile. And now we say that this man, now everybody's on board with jokes, memes. Everybody's talking about his sexuality. And I'm like, okay, so what took place to where now we can have fun having homophobic memes? We can have fun having homophobic jokes. We can have fun having homophobic videos. And I'm just like, okay, where did this all, when did this all change? But it changed because it's a Black man that you're doing it to. It all changed. It's okay now for us to have gay jokes simply because it's a Black man. And we get to laugh and we get to put out all this stuff, but then be the first person to say we're not homophobic. But to me, it looks like we're quite homophobic. So this is from Mimi Morris. Everybody's worried about all the business that pays them. Listen, it goes even deeper than that. We don't realize. Dr. Jane Elliott had she did some research years ago about brown-eyed people and blue-eyed people. And what she did was she said, brown-eyed people are inferior to blue-eyed people. She did it with a fifth or sixth grade class, something like that, 5th grade class. And then she said, brown-eyed people are more inferior. They're less than in all facets of life. And I'm going to give privilege to blue-eyed people. So blue-eyed people get to go first in the lunch. They get to do this. They get an extra few minutes of research or recess. They get all this stuff that's deemed a privilege. And then the blue-eyed people, the blue-eyed kids started acting a certain way. Then they started mistreating the brown-eyed people. And the brown-eyed people felt bad and oppressed and suppressed and bad and all this kind of stuff. Took on certain behaviors, didn't want to be in the school, didn't want to go to class, didn't want to participate, simply because someone had pressed them down simply because of how they looked. So then she flipped it and she made it to where it was the brown-eyed people were the exceptional people. I was wrong. The brown-eyed people are exceptional people. Blue-eyed people are inferior. Now all the brown-eyed people get all the amenities and all the benefits because they're deemed to be superior. And the blue-eyed people go through the same thing. But what's funny is the brown-eyed people started mistreating the blue-eyed people just like the blue-eyed people mistreated them when they thought they were better. what I see in our community is that we don't realize how programmed we are to act like them when they treated us a certain way publicly. When we were being, when they put dogs on us, when they blew hoses and put water hoses on us. And now all of a sudden we do it again. We do it to ourselves. We are now the agents of our own demise. It's quite sick to watch. And one of the biggest trolls in all of this has been a dude by the name of Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, 50, your life can't be that squeaky clean that you would make the decision to speak on somebody ill and continue with the rhetoric. And I watch his page and I watch it all the time. And I'm watching 50 and I'm just like, dude, why are you so hell bent on the demise of so many people? And eventually, when you make the decision of being a person that comes after people like that and want to see people fail, eventually something's going to happen to you. And I say that, and I say that, and I say it sadly because that's how karma works. So when I saw this, I was not happy. I was not happy. But when I saw it, I was like, well, there you have it. You see that this guy might have a problem on his hand because now he's being accused of something. So now you see this. This is from yesterday, New York Post. 50 Cent denies ex-Daphne Joy's rape, physical abuse allegations amid Sean Diddy Combs lawsuit. And it's like, when you play around, stuff could happen. So this is the article. It said Daphne Joy is accusing 50 Cent, her ex-boyfriend, of rape and physical abuse, which he denies and claims only fuels his desire to get custody of their 11-year-old son, Sire. After Joy was named as an alleged sex worker for Sean Diddy Combs in a lawsuit, the 37-year-old model directed a lengthy statement to Curtis James Jackson, 50's real name, Thursday on Instagram, claiming in the last paragraph, "Let's put the real focus on your true evil actions of raping me and physically abusing me." She added, "You are no longer my oppressor, and my God will handle you from this point on. You have permanently damaged the last hope I had for you as a father to preserve our family with these last and final false claims made against me. You have broken our hearts for the last and final time." And so when I look at that, I'm like, dude, it's like it's sad to see because this guy is a troll. He just is. And we have to understand that nothing is funny when people are failing. Louis Farrakhan said we should not cheer when someone is failing. We should pray for them. And especially when they look like you and me. Isn't that the case? So Marian Jackson says, Dr. Jane Elliott is a national treasure who is getting along in age. Her work needs to be launched nationwide to accompany what needs to be in school books before we lose her to age. The U.S. needs to recognize its jewels like Dr. Jane. I'm going to say this because Jane Elliott, I think that if Jane Elliott were sitting here on this show, she'd agree. Jane Elliott only gets to say what Jane Elliott says because she is white. 2, the only reason we listen to Jane Elliott say that is because she's white. 3, Jane Elliott says the same thing that Malcolm said, that Martin said, that Medgar said, that Baldwin said, that Garvey said, that Umar says, that Eric Dyson says, that Cornel West says, that Greg Meriweather says. The challenge is we'd rather share her and call her a jewel as opposed to adoring the jewels in our own community. I feel that way strongly. I think she has done some amazing things, but when it's all said and done, she gets to do it simply because she's white. And we listen. We are the people who look and say, ooh, Adele sounds black. Let's promote it. Ooh, that Justin Timberlake sounds black. Let's promote it. Ooh, it's a white guy on social media who skates like he's black. Let's promote it. Oh, it's an older white man in the at the gas station outside rapping loud. Let's share it. But we don't share it. We don't share it when it comes from us at all. It baffles the hell out of me how we look and we give all this energy because they white and we and doing our stuff. That's how Paula Dean became Paula Dean until she made the decision like I miss the good old days of antebellum where Negroes was in white jackets and gloves serving white people and jacked their own Mac. But Oprah had her hoisted up and living good. But we don't look and say that. So yeah, shout out to Jane Elliott. Fine. But Jane only get to say what I say. Jane don't get the consequence of saying what I say. Jane don't have to face the consequences of me saying the same things. When I say it, I'm in trouble. When King said it, he got popped. When Malcolm said it, he got popped. When Medgar said it, he got popped. So that's my opinion. But I listened. Jane did good with the blue-eyed, brown-eyed. After that, I was like, everybody that said this, Jane, you just getting to say it because you get to live in your privilege. Simple. Which leads me to something else. So me talking about sharing and all this kind of stuff. And yesterday I looked and I saw my brother, and I'm not gonna say his name, but I looked and I saw there was an event. There was an event in the city on a Wednesday. And I saw a post, and it was another brother he's a brother, he's a good brother. And they were at a venue, and the venue in Indianapolis is Sticks. And again, I asked this question about a week ago, and I said, is Sticks black owned or is Burn black owned? And everybody laughed, and we they knew that I knew the answer to it. I just decided to ask anyway. And so then I look, and I see the pictures, and the place is packed out, and it's filled with us. It's filled with us. And I said, isn't it amazing? Because I'm looking on all these pages and I'm seeing flyers. I'm seeing flyers and then everybody's like, come to the Wednesday mixer at Sticks from this time to that time. And I sent a text to one of my guys yesterday and I said, why are we promoting this culture? And he said, I said, why are we putting money into the Asian cultures? Why are we supporting that? And he said, well, who's the Asian culture? And I said, Sticks. And he said, okay. And he said, say less. And I said, what do we advertise that is ours? The same brothers. They see me. They see me working. They know I'm building a brand. It's so many Black people that know I'm building a brand. They don't promote it. They don't share it. They don't talk about it. They don't give to it. They do nothing. But we'll pack out a place. And we talk about that dollar, the last 6 hours in our own community. 6 hours. And promote it for free on their pages. They would literally take the flyer, put it on their page. Meet us at this place. Don't have the cognizance to say, that don't belong to us. That ain't ours. And pack it out. We're gonna make sure this guy gets paid. We're gonna make sure his business thrives. We're gonna get him on his feet so that he can take care of his Asian family. So that he does not give a damn dollar back to Black people. And we promoting it. And I say, wow, I know these guys. And they taking pictures. And it's like, boy, it's when I tell you we don't have a clue how to support our own, but are so built so perfectly to promote everybody else's pictures and flyers for free. We don't want to see nobody black. You know what? It's quite evident that we don't want to see black people rich. We don't want to see. I saw a post. I saw a post with R. Kelly and with Jay-Z. And they lied on the years that Jay-Z met Aaliyah or Jay-Z met Beyonce because it was like 2000 and something. They put like 90 something or whatever and try to make it like 28 and 16 or something foolish. But nonetheless, it was ironic that I looked at it and I was just like, I said, if these dudes are sick, I said, America was sick first. And they was like, what do you mean? I said, if these dudes with these young girls are sick, which I believe that there's a level of sickness to it. But then when I think about even in our history, when granddaddy married grandmama, she was 14, right? It was okay. By the time she was 16, she was probably pregnant with one of y'all or your mama and them. And so when I look at our culture and I'm like, this is quite interesting. And then I'm gonna get into our hypocritical culture. When I used to walk to the bus at Washington High School, and there was a Dairy Queen right there, you know, on the northeast side of the school or the east side of the school, and used to walk out, and the buses would be lined up. During the school year, all the grown dudes, the dudes that wasn't in high school, the dudes that was probably 20, 21, 22, had the cars, had the rims, had the paint. The young lady would walk to the bus and she start walking real slow. And you looking and you like, oh no, they gonna pick her. They gonna pick her. They gonna pick her. And as soon as she got picked, she never rode the bus again. And we watched it. And women thought it was like a badge of honor to say my boyfriend is grown. Let's not lie. Women watched it and said, my boyfriend is grown. I am now riding in the fly whip every single day, getting dropped off with the trunk rattling. And I'm okay with it. And now we look now and it's part of our cancel culture. And I'm seeing people saying they was everywhere. They was at all the high schools. And so we look at this now and I'm like, well, what happened? When LL Cool J said on Big Old Buddy, he said, we went to the high school. He said, she's only 16, right? Sam Cooke had a song called 16, right? When we talk about Do Me, where BBD said backstage, underage, adolescent, how you doing? Fine. She replied, nice eye. I like to do the wild thing. Action took place. It's even in our music. It's even in our music. Keith Sweat said, you may be young, but you're ready to learn. It's in our music. And we look now, and I said, if they're sick, America was sick first. You know why? Because there's a map. There's a map of consent. There's a map of consent. Let's find it. Map age of consent. I want y'all to see this. Because I said, if they sick, America was sick first. Because we don't even realize that there's a map of the age of consent in America that people don't know. If I had been R. Kelly's manager, he would be out of jail simply because we had the map. And here we have it. So you look at this map. Hold on, let's take that back. So when you look at this, let's find it again. There's a map. I want y'all to see it. And I'm just like, what is happening here? Here we go. So when we look at this map, United States, age of consent map. Look at this map. 80%, I would venture to say almost 90% of this map says what age? 16. 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. Look at all this. 16, Indiana, 16. It gets a little edgy when you get west. Even Alaska says 16. Hawaii says 16. And when we look at this map, I said, if they are sick, then America was sick first. Look at the map. Michigan 16, Kentucky 16. Tennessee is the only thing in there that's got 18. Everybody in the South, with exception of Florida and Louisiana and Texas, says 16. So my question is, what are we doing? We going ham and don't even know the rules. We're going ham and don't even want to talk about it. Because let's be real. I'm going to say this, and this is not defending Jay-Z. But if Jay-Z met Beyonce while she was 16 and he was in the right place, then so be it. Because that's what the law says. And I ain't trying to, I'm not defending anyone and I'm not condemning anyone. I'm just telling us that before we start running our mouths, we need to know what we're talking about. And before we start putting people on blast, we need to know what we're talking about. Because like I said with this guy, Diddy, okay, his sexuality may be whatever floats your boat. If you want to talk about him because he likes young men, that's on you. It ain't your business, but that's on you. That's in your mind on you thinking that's bad. If that's what he like, and if it's not illegal, then that's what he likes. I don't like the fact now if he abusing women, that that falls under my problem area. That's real. It's like I'm not into men liking men, but if he like a man, so what? I ain't got to lay in his bed. I ain't got to deal with it. That ain't my business. It ain't my business to talk bad about him. Again, we want to say we're not homophobic, but then we do homophobic stuff. I digress. Let's move on. So what I wanted to talk about in the second segment of this show is the faces behind white supremacy that look like you and me. We tend to cheer on a lot of people that we believe are our heroes, people we believe are doing great things in this world, and we cheer for them, but we don't ever, it's like the Wizard of Oz. We never look behind the curtain. They say, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And we realize that a lot of times it's not really us. And what do I mean by that? So I say that, people get mad, but I say, Michael Jordan was a great basketball player. I said, I don't think he was the greatest businessman, but he was a great basketball player. I give him that. But when I look and I say, okay, my son used to get mad. I said, Michael Jordan is the greatest slave known to mankind. How do you say that, G? Well, when I look and I say, well, let's look at Michael Jordan's net worth. Okay. Michael Jordan's net worth. Here we go. Michael Jordan's net worth is $3.2 billion. That's a whole lot of money, right? $3.2 billion. LeBron James is $1 billion. Magic Johnson is $1.2 billion. And I think Magic Johnson, to me, is a greater businessman than Michael Jordan. That's just my opinion. So when we look at that, we say, Michael Jordan, $3.2 billion, right? Well, let's talk about the guy who signed Michael Jordan. Let's talk about the guy who signed Michael Jordan and took his name, Phil Knight. Now, Michael Jordan is worth $3.2 billion. Phil Knight is worth $39.4 billion. Who was the first athlete that Phil Knight signed to Nike? Do we know that? It was Michael Jordan. We think Michael Jordan owns Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan does not even own Michael Jordan's name. I watched Michael Jordan's children on the Breakfast Club one day, and they asked him, how does it feel to work for your dad? And they said, we don't work for our dad. We work for Nike. And it's such a powerful machine that his kids can't even post stuff. If his kids post certain things on Instagram, I think his son just went through a breakup. and he posted something about Larsa, I think it's Larsa Pippen, on his page. And he was like, my father would call us and be like, take that down, because he's part of the machine. He's not the boss. He's the pawn. He's not the boss. He's the slave. He's just a rich one. And when we think about just the stuff that Kanye West went through, and you realize how quickly it can be taken away, then you realize that they don't have the power that we think that they have. But my question is, why is it that we support it so heavily? We don't even realize that we're buying into the thing that supposedly hates us so much. We walk out every day and we put on these shoes and we think we're representing Michael, but really we're not. We're representing Phil, because Phil is worth $30 billion. Phil's never played basketball. Phil's never hit a game-winning shot. Phil's never filled Chicago Stadium or the United Center. Phil has never had to do any of that. All Phil did was get a black man who had a grand talent and said, I'm gonna put a shoe on you, and I'm gonna market the hell out of this shoe, and black people gonna think it's yours, and they're gonna love it because it's got your name on it, although I own your name, and they're gonna think it's valuable, and they're gonna buy it, and they're gonna buy it for years because they think it means excellence. They think it means black excellence. They think it means something to wear your name that you don't own. And I'm like, it's such a hidden agenda. There's such a hidden agenda when you realize that white supremacy lives through through black faces. Here's another example. Think about this. When John Schnatter, is that his name? Schnatter. He's from Indiana. And he created a company called Papa John's, right? But Papa John got a little cocky. And he said, back where I'm from, we used to take black people and tie them on the back of a truck and drag them through the town, right? And all of a sudden, black people was like, I ain't fooling with Papa John. Take the magnet off the fridge. Don't call that number. Tear the page out the book. Don't call Papa John's. We're not fooling with Papa John's anymore, right? What Papa John do? They set him aside. He still has 10% stake in a $1 billion industry, $1 billion company. And they go get Shaq-a-Roni pizza. And all of a sudden we look and we back with Papa John, right? We back on that. And Papa John is sitting somewhere, it's worth $1 billion. Shaq is worth 500 million. This racist, his name's still living. His name's still out there. More commercials with Shaq. Yes, that's the blueprint. Get the black face. Make the pizza affordable for the black people. They'll think it's Shaq's. While John sits at the crib with racist beliefs. Still believing that you're not good enough. Still saying that he would drag you through the town. But we don't think that these entities are entities that are hidden, that they have a whole hidden agenda. And we have no clue. We have no clue what's happening behind the scenes. Here's another example of what we're not paying attention to because we just love them. We're like, that's us. On real, it's like, it ain't you. Look at this. This was in December 22nd, 2020, right? This was from Variety.com. What does it say? Discovery increases stake in Oprah Winfrey's own to 95%. Right? It says Discovery now has just under 95% ownership of owned. Do you see that? Of owned. What does that mean? Oprah Winfrey Network. What does that mean? That's her name. Then they call it the joint venture between Oprah Winfrey and Discovery. Now listen to this. I ain't gonna claim to be the greatest of hustlers, but I'm gonna say this: they calling it a joint venture, and they got 95%, and she got 5%. But they call it the joint venture. That means she works for them. If I got 95% of anything, and we dealing with this together, and you got 5%, you don't have no say. None. It said the company has increased its stake from its prior holding of 73%. A person familiar with the matter tells Variety, adding that the gradual increase has long been part of the plan. In return, Winfrey has received more than $35 million in Discovery shares. Discovery last upped its ownership of OWN in late 2017 by paying $70 million for another 24.5% stake from Winfrey's Harpo Incorporated. Harpo, which has over 1.34 million shares of Discovery, also registered in 8K filing on Tuesday the option to sell 670,477 shares of Discovery stock. Harpo's current stake represents less than 1% of Discovery's Series A common stock. Let me tell y'all something. We think we know so much, and we looking at all these paper billionaires. These are not like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos who owns Amazon, or this guy who owns Microsoft, Bill Gates, or Warren Buffett who with Berkshire Hathaway. And they look and they say, Warren Buffett gave away all his wealth when his wife died, and the next year he was the richest man in the world. Think on that. Gave away all his wealth. He was worth about $25 billion and came back the next year after giving it all away and was worth 50. That's because he owns everything. And we look and we say, man, I support Oprah, man. Oprah don't support Oprah. Oprah's owned. Everything we do, everything we look at, everything we think is us is not us. And the crazy thing about it is, you know, a person like me who was out here striving, putting out content, creating my own, let me tell y'all should download the Black on Black Network app to your phone because this show is on there. 3 radio stations is on there. You should download it to your phone, Black on Black Network. But nonetheless, I own the stuff. I play for the team I own. And I look and I'm so disappointed because, again, going back to the whole Styx ordeal, nobody's sitting there free advertising for me. And I would be the first person to help them, their kids, their grandmother, their aunties, their nephews, the cousins. I'll be the first one to help them. But they run over here and advertise freely for this man who ain't gonna help them on no day. He'll be like, the service you pay for is the service you get. Anything else is not my business. I make Black people my business. I always have. But when I look at these people that we think are our people, these puppets that run around every single day, we thinking they owning everything. We think they making moves. We like that dude. That's the man. She killing it. Oprah, the truth. Oprah's not the truth. Whoever owns Discovery is the truth. All our media is gone. I think we now have Essence back, about the brother named Richelieu. But other than that, we don't own the Apollo. That's no longer Black owned. We don't own the Walker. That's no longer Black owned. We lost every single magazine with exception to Essence. All gone. No longer. We had Rockaware. They got sold to Iconics. Diddy he didn't have Sean John anymore. Fat Farm is gone. Carl Kanai, who knows where he is. So when I think about even all the iconic brands that were deemed Black, they're gone because somebody else owned them and they sell them. It's like, you know, I'm gonna say this now, and y'all know that, you know, y'all know how I feel about Jay. But I'm gonna say this because I think that when it's all said and done, he's probably been my biggest disappointment as it relates to just remaining and keeping things Black owned. So when Jay-Z did this, I felt a certain way. So when LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, buys 50% stake in Jay-Z's champagne brand Armand de Bernac, I was disappointed. When Jay-Z sold half an Ace of Spades, it really hurt me. Why? Because it was something to be said when the top champagne in the world was Black owned. And when you realize like Moet Hennessy is like, it's such a powerful brand. I mean, when you just look at LVMH, which is Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. I know Black folk, we call it Moet. It's Moet. It says Moet Hennessy, the wine and spirit division of luxury conglomerate. LVMH announced Monday the purchase, and this was a couple of years ago, the purchase of Jay-Z champagne brand Armand de Bernac. Financial terms of the deal were not disclosed. Jay-Z relationship with them started in 2006 with a 50% stake in the brand and debuted in his Show Me What You Got music video before it officially launched later that year. He had previously endorsed Cristal in his songs before an executive, Louis Roederer, made disparaging comments about its role in hip-hop culture. The rapper, whose given name is Sean Carter, brought the remaining half of Armand in 2014. And so when I look at this, man, we can't be people who say, when we buy it, or it's like we have to consume it until it's good enough to be taken. Think on that. We have to consume it until it's like when he bought it and he was just a Black dude with a champagne, nobody cared. He had to bring value to it. But then once he brings value to it, they buy it from him. He sells it, they buy it. Then it becomes unaffordable for Black people. And then all of a sudden, Black people are not drinking Ace of Spades. Because now Ace of Spades is it's too wealthy to be Black. It's too rich to be Black. And it's like, why are we doing this? Can you imagine if we still owned? Can you imagine if we actually owned Jordan? This is why these people can't speak on white supremacy. This is why they can't come together and put anything together to be able to say, you know what, we're going to create our own banks, our own ecosystems, our own money-making things so that we can now get on board with developing our own people in our own communities, our own businesses, because they can't. All their riches can be taken simply because they don't own nothing. And when we get to listen to them say self-made. Jay-Z at some point was self-made, but now he's no longer self-made. He sold Tidal. When I had Tidal, I paid a higher subscription to have Tidal because it was Black owned. And I said, you know what? I don't care if he's more expensive than Apple Music or Spotify or whatever it is, I'm gonna pay that because I understand how we have to start. But then he sold that. And he didn't sell it to somebody Black. And I do believe that that the guy who owns Essence is the guy they're saying purchased Revolt from Puffy. So it will remain Black owned, at least. I will give him that. But I'm just saying, we gotta do a better job of this, right? We got to do a better job of promoting our own stuff, right? Because again, if I keep selling, we don't even understand the term sell out because that's selling out. That's truly selling out. Oprah not owning own, Jordan not owning his name, Jay-Z selling everything that he get to. Can I ask a question? And maybe I'm bad at money, but what's the difference between Jeff Bezos' life and Jay-Z's life other than being Black or white? Because if I'm Jay-Z, I'm a billionaire, I'm worth about 2.5. My house is $100 million too. How many of them can I get? How many yachts can you own? I mean, what's the difference? And just to add more B's to your name, what does it mean? It's not going to change his lifestyle, not one bit. But the impact that it'll have, remaining Black owned, is paramount. And I think we got to do a better agent or do a better job of being better agents of remaining and creating Black millionaires and billionaires. That's what this is about. And, and I've been guilty. Let me say this. I've been guilty because I've advertised for some spots. I've advertised for some cigar spots. But when you know better, you do better. You should, at least. When you know better, you do better. Thank you, sister, for saying that. Yes, I do have a book, Utopia Black. You can find it on Amazon. So that would be supporting me. They get a cut. They don't get a good cut. They get a cut though. But you can definitely buy my book, Utopia Black. It's definitely on Amazon. But I'm gonna say this, man. Shout out to my brothers. And I did not mention their name, but I pay attention to what we advertise. I definitely do. So with that being said, man, one, cancel culture, we got to get out of that. Two, are we homophobic or are we not? Be honest. I shouldn't care who sleep with who, as long as it's not illegal. I shouldn't care. Get out of people's business. The other thing is this, distractions. I said this with Anthony Hampton. What is it that rich people own and don't use? They own all the distractions and don't use none of them. The media, all the games, all the music, all the everything, they own it all. They like, man, listen, get the poor out here paying attention to something else. We so worried about a billionaire's sex life. It's insane how much time and energy we have put into worrying about a billionaire's sex life. And you potentially live in foul too. Anybody that's alive has something going on in their life that could possibly get them locked up. Everybody. Whether it be a night that you drank a little too much and you still drove. Whether you live in a state or city or a place that does not have legal marijuana and you smoke. You might have you some pills. Okay? You could do all kinds of stuff that can land you in jail while not thinking about it because you think it's a minor infraction. But the deal is this. If you keep looking at everybody else and cheering them while you live in foul, that's a problem. And we can't be those people. We got to be a better agents of not being people who want to see other people hurting or failing. So that's just my perspective. So man, I'm gonna move on. We got a few minutes left, and this has been fun. Again, my guest was unable to make it today. For some odd reason, she thought she was going to be on the radio and not on a podcast. But we keep it popping. All right, so we're gonna go to Matthew chapter 7 for the verse of the day, and we're gonna start with verse 1. It says, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the same measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." And when I say this, we cannot look at people in the manner in which we do. One of the greatest things, man, that I believe, is being urged in that text is people are human. People are human, and you have no idea what the Creator is doing. You don't know if it's for you to get the lesson or for them to get the lesson. The whole point is for somebody to get the lesson. But it's not for you to be so condemning. It's not for us to look at each other and say, you so this, that, and the other. Black people in our community, the unfortunate part about correction, the way we learned correction in this country was through abuse. It was through a whip. It was through death. Something as simple. I wrote an article some years ago, and I said, was it the rose? It's like, what did the rose do, or something like that? It was like something about the rose of cotton. And in the rows of cotton, the way we had to pick cotton separated us, because the one who had the least took the lashes. So therefore, it created a competitive people. We didn't work together no more. We had to work against each other. And when I say we have to be better agents of helping each other, the articles, where have the roads taken us? And we have to be better agents of helping one another be successful, as opposed to helping each other fail. Why? Because it would have been a grand day if we had just created our own system and said, no, we got to help each other. You're going to whoop us all? That's the people we should be. You're going to whoop us all? Because killing all of the slaves would have been bad for economics. But we didn't think like that. We just said, let me get on board with this system. And if my brother got to take a beating because he can't move as fast, or he's not as accurate, or he's not as good at this as me, then so be it. But we shouldn't be those people. And I just urge us, man, as we keep looking and seeing this trial pan out, or whatever it is these people are going through, these men are going through, I would just say this: operate with a level of compassion, because sick people need love. Sick people need love. We talk about mental health. Sick people need love, not judging eyes, not judging tongues, not judging opinion. Sick people need love. And all of us got something in us that's sick. On real. So I just urge this, man, stop being judgy. This has been your brother, man. Next week, we got a crazy, crazy good lineup next week as well. My brother James Lomax is going to be on next week. Kurt Moore, K Love's going to be on next week. David Hampton is going to come back next week to catch up where we left off with Lisk. We're going to get Elena back on. We're going to get her on for next week. So next week, man, it should be a powerful week. We're going to have a good time. We're going to share. We're going to learn. We're going to love. And when it's all said and done, we do it with no apologies. This has been your brother from No Apologies Please, Greg Meriweather. Y'all have a great weekend. Peace.